Last week, the race for the 2023 presidency gathered momentum when former Lagos State Governor and leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, announced his intention to contest for the country's highest office. Since his declaration, Tinubu has become the most talked about politician in Nigeria. While most of those who served as governors between 1999 and 2007 have lost their relevance in the political arena, Tinubu has remained a political colossus in Lagos and even spread his tentacles to other parts of the country. His inroads into other parts of the country, pundits say, are to actualize his lifelong ambition to become Nigeria's president. Yet he cannot shake off speculations that President Muhammadu Buhari and his kitchen cabinet are not favourably disposed to his presidential bid and would most likely support someone else for the ticket of the APC. Now joining us to discuss Tinubu's aspiration and why they think he should become Nigeria's next president are Ayodele Adewale, co-founder of the Grassroots Network for Asiwaju Tinubu, and Abdullahi Tanko Yakasai, national coordinator, Northern Young Professionals for Tinubu, and a founding member of the APC. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us, both Adewale and Yakasai. But one question for both of you. Why do you think Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the best person for the job? Considering the fact, and you must have seen this, it's out there in the social media. People are saying that it's too controversial, that what exactly is his real name, what is his age, which secondary school did he attend, which university did he attend. A number of issues are there in the public domain, and people are saying that, well, someone whose details are in the clouds that nobody is sure of, why should he be, the person that some of you are rooting for? There are even concerns about his state of health. And we just had someone on the program this morning who was saying that he thinks, that's Dr. Dibia, Eli Dibia, he thinks that with Vice President Osinbajo being considered by certain groups, he thinks that a man like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu should just stay in the background and not even bother at all. Both of you, one after the other. I'll go with Adewale first.
Well, thank you for creating the platform. I must tell you that Asiwaju's bio is out there. People need to just go to the Wikipedia. All of these questions you asked are there. They can pick it up, read it. And if they have issues with that, then they can bring it up as contestation that, like you have said. You must understand that in our climb, when we get ourselves into a period like this, a lot of people will try to call a dog a bad name in order for you to hang it. But there's no gainsaying the fact that Asiwaju is well read, he's very cerebral, and he had also worked in so many corporate establishments in the US before coming back to Nigeria to work with ExxonMobil. It's on record that while Asiwaju was in ExxonMobil, he was the first black auditor to help them block leakages to the extent that ExxonMobil had to build an edifice that they call their headquarters today. You also know that, while ExxonMobil was at Broad Street, they were a tenant in a building. They were paying tenancy. Asiwaju was able to reverse that, and that money also went into some other productive end for that company. Then he ventured into politics through fighting for the June 12 enthronement and supporting Chief MKO Abiola. These are things that are, they're in history and all of that. And he became governor of Lagos State. He rewrote the history, the economic history of Lagos, a state that was generating barely 600 million naira per month. He left it at over 15 billion. And his successor also improved on it. Today, Lagos generates over 40 billion naira. And Lagos can sustain itself, even without federal allocation. God forbid, it doesn't come. And Asiwaju have always championed true federalism, making sure that state remain autonomous, making sure that state controls its own resources to the extent that the people are well sufficient. So no matter what people say, talk is free, talk is cheap. People can say, but whatever you bring, you must also bring proved facts to buttress your points.
Well, except that this is not about what is available on Wikipedia. I asked that question in the context of what is being circulated on social media and in the context of what happened in the past with regard to some of those questions. But let's go to Yakasai. Tanko Yakasai, National Coordinator, Northern Young
Thank you.
Professionals for Tinubu. Why do you think that Tinubu is the best man for the job?
Okay, Mr. Ruben, His Excellency Asiwaju Tinubu has what it takes to lead this country. Because if you look within our party, the APC, there's no one that has the pedigree, that has the capacity, that have the tenacity, that had the wide outreach, that embraces everybody like Tinubu. There's nobody in APC that build human capacity, that elevate his followers. What do you need in a politician? To develop your country, to develop your people. And this is what, these are the two things that His Excellency Asiwaju Tinubu has been doing all along. So people will talk, we'll keep hearing things people will say. But the truth of the matter is, since his declaration, people have become jittery. I tell you that as it is today, since that declaration, people have been coming out to say they want to support His Excellency. You've seen what happened in Abuja on Monday during that harmonization of all the support groups. So we're waiting to see who will come out to contest and who will slug it out with His Excellency Asiwaju Tinubu, and the capacity he has displayed in Lagos is what we want to see being displayed in Nigeria at large. We want to see every state looking like Lagos, with infrastructural development, with sanity, with the security, and all the social things that people would need to progress. And then you talk about people insinuating about his age. Even yourself, Mr. Ruben Abati, if you're making researches, you go to the search engine. Just like my brother has said, Comrade Ayodele, you know, you have to go to the search engines and make research. And it's there in the Wikipedia, just like he said. So if you have any contrary proof, you can show it to us.
Right, thank you.
Age may not even be a big issue. I think Section 131, right? D of the 1999 Constitution says, once you are of a particular age, you can be president of Nigeria. So maybe that may not be a big issue. But that question was raised in reference to what people are saying on social media, and particularly with his state of health. Tundu, over to you.
So I was going to ask, obviously, Asiwaju Tinubu has numerous supporters, including you two gentlemen that have joined us this morning. But my goodness, an awful lot of detractors. So before we even talk about getting to the presidential election, let's first talk about the APC primaries and what your strategy is. You'll recall, even with the imbroglio that happened with the former national chairman of the APC, Adams Oshiomhole, there were reports even then that he's under attack because he's an ally of Asiwaju Tinubu. Even now, amongst those who have thrown their hats into the ring to be national chairman of the APC, those who are tagged as Tinubu associates are seemingly on the back foot as a result of that association. How do you plan to counter so much negativity?
You see, when you have a very good brand, you should expect people to throw pebbles at you. It is not even Jesus Christ, as sinful as he was, the savior of the world, he had more enemies than expected. But that should not distract you. If you're going to the market and dogs start barking at you, you stay conscious and you go for the aim, you go for the ball, you go for the goal. No matter the detractors. Our aim is to make sure that Asiwaju wins the primary, wins the presidential general elections, and of course become the president of the country. so that we can implement the programs. And part of those programs were a program that your father drew for the June 12th. And we have stayed akin to those programs, which among is free education that is qualitative and compulsory to the university level. That must be implemented. Free health. I was privileged to be a chairman of a local government, and I implemented it in my local government to the best of my ability, to the extent that we won an award in the United Nations headquarters in New York, and we're commended for that. Asiwaju has such core values on the economy. When your father was perceived to be winning the elections, I use the word perceived, when the votes were being counted, we knew how the cost of goods came down in Nigeria in our waiting for President Abiola. And the same goodwill Asiwaju also have. A lot of people will do so many things for the Asiwaju presidency because they know he understands the rudiments. Asiwaju was not born with a silver spoon. He knows what it is to be poor. He was privileged to have gotten good education. He's privileged to be among the elites. So he can juggle and marry all of these tendencies of interest together in order to put us in a very convenient state. So we are very sure that what happened in Lagos, if Asiwaju had gotten the cooperation of the federal government, remember that Asiwaju was the first to try to embark on an independent power supply, bringing Enron to Lagos to create such opportunity. But yet, it was put to stop by the Obasanjo administration. Today, Delta State commissioned an independent power source that was brought in by a friend of mine and all of that. Today, we have different government embarking on independent power source. And the main problem of this country is power. When you have power, a lot of opportunities will be created. The overhead, in your company right now, you're running on generator. I can imagine the overhead that you guys are expending.
You have gone around the premises.
I can hear the noise.
That.
Yes, I go around.
Instead of you to come to the studio,
no,
you were
no,
going around on an inspection tour that is unknown to management.
No, I should appreciate what you have. And I've been with Arise for a very long time, even when you were taking boats to take me to your station in Apapa. So you have invested so much to create this station that you have, which is a world-class brand. But I'm telling you that with Asiwaju's presidency, a lot of people will even come from the diaspora at no cost because you have the political capital that is going to put on the table.
Well, thank you for that. I want to ask Mr. Yakasai the same question. How do you plan to deal with antagonists? Well, not deal with, we know what I mean, to address the antagonism that's been directed at your principal in the run-up to the APC National Convention?
Okay, thank you, my sister. You see, we are trying to bring what Tinubu's achievements are to the table. We will be going to the grassroots to tell people that this is the man who has done this, who has done that, and we are seeking for your support. If you table to somebody what you think is good, he will reason and see with you that, okay, I'll buy this idea. The antagonists will never go. They will be there forever. But what we are looking for is to galvanize this movement and see that a lot of people will win them over and they buy the idea and see that this is the man that can build the future of this country. So while they're doing their antagonism, we'll be doing our own grassroots work to make sure we sell him to the people. Not just selling him by saying things that will soothe what we tell people, but we want to show them facts. We want to show them his achievements. We want to show them his wide outreach across the country. And we believe if we go to those grassroots and tell people what this man has achieved, I'm telling you, the sky will be the limit.
Okay. So I've got a question for both of you. Adewale, you were saying something that was really like music to my ears. Please let me ask you frontally. Is this in his manifesto or is just political stomp? You said he will fund education up to university level. I just want to be sure. Is it political stomp or in his manifesto?
Rufai,
No, I just want to ask. Just
yes,
answer me before I ask the question.
I want to answer the question.
No, I've not asked the question. I just want to know. Is it in the manifesto or political stomp? So if it's in the manifesto, and I'll ask, how are you going to fund it? Because I deal with facts. Chief Obafemi Awolowo, in funding free primary education in the Western region, spent 1/3 of his budget. And in fact, a lot of people said he was mad for doing that. How is it going to be funded with this Nigeria revenue?
You asked the question. You asked the question. Rufai, you've known me for a very long time. I will not come to play political stunt here because I have a pedigree to protect. You mentioned Chief Obafemi Awolowo with the free education at his time.
In primary school?
In primary school. I was opportune to be with Chief Anthony Enahoro of blessed memories, and Professor Jadesola Akonde and Baba Oniwidiomojola. We were discussing this issue, and I asked the same question. And they told me that when the free education policy program was brought to Awolowo, he was initially very scared because they have 5,000 teachers. That how were they going to fund it? Then you have Chief Maja came on board, Okpeifa came on board, and Ajashin, they all sat down, right? And they started it.
Awokoya.
They started it. And I was impressed, right? Look, to fund education in Nigeria is very easy. You have two critical areas that will grab money. The one that will grab money more is where you put the recurrent. First, you put the infrastructure. When you have the infrastructure, like Governor Regbeshoradi demonstrated in Osun State with the Okpeimo, you don't need to do papers. Papers are recurrent. You bring in tablet technology, technological boards. Those are infrastructures that do not really require much recurrent. When you are going to recurrent expenditure, you come to engineering, medical sciences, and all of that because you have to buy reagents and consumables.
Have you done the impact assessment on your
We have done all of this study, many of these studies when we were in Pronaco. I was the mobilization officer of Pronaco.
No, Okpoimo, currently, as we speak today.
Okpoimo, as it is now.
Yeah.
I saw the tablets, right? We have Nigeria that can build those tablets. The major thing you have to do is continue to provide apps and improve on those apps. You don't need much. It's just writing.
So is that the way to fund education up to university
I told you,
level?
no. When you brought
have you put a cost to it? That's why I asked, is it manifesto or it's just political stomping? You know, stomping is different, or a manifesto. So is it a hard fact on ground? Is that the way to fund it?
There's a hard fact, but I'm telling you where the fundings will go.
Where will the fundings come from?
When the funding one will come from taxes. That is one.
You're going to tax the people more.
Hold on. Existing taxes. You're going to block leakages. Once you block these leakages, the fundings will be available. And remember, there are some streams of funding that are already there. The problem are the leakages. You have the ETF that is there. Educational Trust Fund is there. The budgetary allocation is there. Once you can block leakages, the funding will be readily available.
Up to university education.
Up to university level, yes. It's possible.
Since it's manifest, have you put a cost to it? How much will it cost?
I don't have the records here.
Okay.
I wouldn't give you the numbers.
Abdullahi, I would like to ask you, how are you going to fund this? And can you put a cost to how much it will cost to fund free education for everybody? As you said, is in your campaign manifesto by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How much will it cost? Because if you say you're going to fund it, you should know the cost. And where would you see the money from? Because year on year, the last I can remember is that the government is targeting about 10 trillion this year and is still going to take a deficit on top of it. So where's the money going to come from?
Okay, you see, education is very, very priority. In fact, it's the #1 priority, and it's in the manifesto of our movement. So what I want to say is, it's just like Nigeria, we budget. We budget not because we have the money on ground. So we are budgeting because we're anticipating these funds. So You see, as we have, just like Comrade said, there will be taxes, there are international donor agencies, and His Excellency has the capacity with his outreach outside the country to mobilize resources for education. We have seen it done in some states at their own level. So we're talking of a national level now, and His Excellency can source funds from outside, can generate money from taxes, and then we'll fund this program. And for everyone, you have to have a mission and a vision. This is a vision. Nobody knows what will happen tomorrow, but you plan. So this is our plan. We want to see every young Nigerian educated from primary to secondary to university level. So we have to do that. We're trying to do that. And the sources will come at the right time.
I asked you a question. Do you know
within
how much,
and outside the country?
Do you know how much it will cost to fund free education up to university level in this country? Because if you say it's part of your plan, you should have a cost to it already. And that's why I deliberately ask, is it political stump or manifesto? If it's political stump, I can excuse it because people will stump politically. But if it's manifesto, do you know the line item cost for it as we speak? Give me the exact amount.
I don't have the exact figure. But what I want to tell you is, Rufai and you, when we were young, how much were we paying? How much were parents paying for secondary school? I think 17 naira also. At university, how much? I think 1,000 also. So, and now we're where we are. But what I'm telling you is, gradually, by the time His Excellency, inshallah, assumed the presidency of this country, when you have the infrastructure on ground, the cost of the education will be dropping. It will be dropping because the infrastructure is there. To the extent that, people will finish school, graduate at a minimal cost. So it's a vision we have for the future of this country. And this is what has been bedeviling this country. All the insecurity you see is because of lack of education. If these young men are educated, they will go into the bushes, they will be on the roads committing crimes. They will be so engaged. It's just like Lagos. 5 a.m. Since I came, 5 a.m. for 3 days I've been waking up. It's not like that in Abuja. Because everybody is educated here, is trying to do one or two things here. Not everybody, most. So we want to see that across the whole country. And this is our vision.
Okay, quickly. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I haven't seen a copy of his manifesto, if he has one. With regard to education, what he has said while addressing a female group is that the payment for secondary school living certificate examination will be free, which was something he did when he was governor in Lagos State in 2004, when the Lagos State government paid over 200 million naira. But it would be nice to see, what that manifesto is, because most of the people who are just talking about leading Nigeria, they are talking about, there's so much lack of articulation. But it would be nice to engage Nigerians. So I don't know whether you have a manifesto yet, but the problem is, the two of you sound like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is expressing some kind of sense of entitlement, as if it's automatic that you will be the flag bearer for the APC. You seem to forget that there are other contenders. The governor of Ebonyi says he's interested. He moved from the PDP to the APC. The former governor of Abia State, Senator Ojius Okalu, is also interested. There are others who are showing interest. But I get this impression from your groups that, look, it's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and it's automatic. How automatic is it? What gives you the confidence to think that he will get the party ticket?
Well, Mr. Abati, what you just said is a conclusion of your thought. We never said, and we never concluded, that Asiwaju has a sense of entitlement. Asiwaju is a Democrat. He has always been a Democrat, and you know that for sure. Asiwaju have only declared his ambition, and he has said he's going to speak to the nation. And whilst he's going to speak to the nation, he's also going to come with a document in which he's going to sell his program to Nigerians in order for them to be convinced that he is the better candidate. Every other candidate are at liberty to move. If they have refused to move, they have a reason for that. Asiwaju have been planning and envisioning himself to occupy that position, not for the grandiose of that office, but again to implement things that have been discussed with some founding fathers of this country and Nigerians at several fora where he have had opportunity to listen and also participate for the development of Nigeria. That is what he's simply doing. The fact that some people have decided to castigate or shoot down his ambition does not mean that he should fold his arms and do nothing. Nigeria needs leadership, more quality leadership, as we speak, in order to move us forward. And he has demonstrated that in his private life as a businessman. He has also demonstrated that in his public life as a governor of Lagos. Let us even look at it this way. What if Asiwaju had not contested in 1999 and become the governor of Lagos State? What if a reactionary had taken the seat of power in Lagos? What would Lagos look like today? Lagos still remains the barometer for measuring development in Nigeria today. Either we like it or we leave it. There's nobody that will talk about Nigeria that will not talk about the economy of Lagos. And it is only in the economy of Lagos that you see individual business development, people developing from obscurity and building their businesses. We're not saying it is Uhuru yet. We've not gotten to El Dorado. But again, it's a work in progress, and we can do better.
Well, I get your point, Comrade Adewale, but Tanko Yakasai, when a man says, being president of Nigeria has been a lifelong ambition, and he doesn't want to be anybody's godfather anymore, that he wants to be the king, isn't that an expression of a feeling of entitlement?
You see, Bola Tinubu is just a statement, and I want to tell you that this is somebody that he has left Lagos as the governor since 2007. He could have contested for the president. He didn't. He brought a northerner, and he rode on that machinery, Bola Tinubu's machinery, so that we will have a northern candidate. He buried that ambition. In 2011, it repeated itself. He brought another candidate from the same north and presented him, and they worked on his machinery. So he has been so patient. It's not a do or die. But people like us, the groups, his well-wishers, people that want to see Nigeria get better, honestly, come together and said, okay, this is the time. He said he has been consulting, and he later on declared that, yes, he will contest and he will continue to consult. So it's not an indictment in any way, but I want you to look at it from the point that this is very critical. This election, 2023, is very critical because Nigeria is so divided. Nigeria on different lines, ethnic, religious. We need somebody else that has the maturity, that has the capacity, that has the wide outreach to stabilize this country and make us united and unified as one. And that is why we say, okay, it's only His Excellency in that our party. You said there are other contestants. Yes, more will come up. But we're looking at his pedigree and what we think he can do to make this country better.
Right. I think I'll ask my next question on that note about the fact that Nigeria desperately needs a unifier at this time. I mean, you've talked a little bit about the economy, so prosperity, progress, peace. Actually, I'm really quoting the motto, aren't I, on our coat of arms. It's never been as desperately needed as it is now. I want your take. I'll start with you, Mr. Yakasai. I want to raise the issue, the allegations that were made by the Special Advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari, Mr. Babafemi Ojudu, about abuse that he's received because he's not in support of the candidature of Asiwaju Tinubu, and he issued a lengthy statement about it, how it's really not personal. He's very fond of him, but he just does not think he's the right choice. He cited previous examples where he's gone his own way and he has his own mind, but he's been abused as our family members, according to him. What do you have to say about that? I'd like you both to address this important issue of trying to, well, to the extent that you can, guarantee a rancor-free civil process of this campaign going forward, because the last thing we need is pouring more fuel on already troubled waters that we're facing here in Nigeria. I'd like you to address that and perhaps call some people to order that are on your political side of the fence.
Okay, thank you. You see, if Mr. Ojudu said he's been attacked because he's supporting another candidate, you were just telling us now that people are castigating our principal, Mr. Asiwaju Tinubu. So, the same way you said Tinubu is being attacked, that's the same way supporters of Tinubu will attack Ojudu, because he is not with them. So, that will continue to happen, and there's no any political party that doesn't have crisis. You know, but how you manage it is what is key. You know, how you suppress those crises is what is key. Even if there's election, after the election, there will be litigations and people will decamp, feeling aggrieved, but managing it is what is important. And this is why I'm telling you that His Excellency is the right candidate, because he's a unifier. He will pull everybody so that if you want to come, he will go with you, unless if you resisted. So, Ojudu should expect more of that.
Oh dear.
Can I come in, please?
Yes, please, comrade.
First and foremost, let me say that Asiwaju will never send anybody to attack anybody. And if anybody has said unprintable words against Mr. Ojudu, the onus lies on him to prove that that person is actually from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And Mr. Ojudu do know, he does know, because I'm very close to him, that Asiwaju will never do that. Asiwaju is very forgiving, even people who have wronged him. And if you permit me, it's just like you're sitting there, and I always refer to him because I preserve his history, and I've always worked for a lot to make sure that all he deserves is given back to him, and that's your dad, Chief MKO Abiola. It was on the street of Lagos when some Air Force officers slapped him and they abused him. Yes, he was attacked by some military ratings and all of that.
The Mad Dog incident.
The Mad Dog incident. Chief Abiola never raised a finger. He never even fought the military hierarchy and all of that. He took it in as a leader and all of that. And he forgave them. He forgave them. I'm only saying that because Asiwaju also followed Chief MKO Abiola's principles and ideology of peaceful conduct and making sure that people remain peaceful in all of their activities. So he will never do that. And if there's any incident where Asiwaju have told some people to go and attack anybody, kindly state it and let's prove it.
Great. I'd like to ask about political debates. That's something that is lacking in our national conversation. Will your candidates embrace a platform, a different platform for political debates when that time comes? Is this something you guys are prepping for?
Asiwaju is known for debates. All of his life, he has always debated issues. And that is why while he was governor, he challenged the federal government on so many instances. And when the vice president was his commissioner for justice, they would sit on a round table. Let me give you an example. There was an issue once on increment of fees. I was in Asiwaju's house, and some people were there. Some even were scared to debate. And I told him, I said, sir, why don't we do this issue this way, this way, this way? And he looked at me and he said, it makes sense, but also go and read this book. He recommended a book for me. I went to read it, I came back again, and we continued to debate. Whenever you even go to his house or his office, you see young people around him debating on matters, even to late hours of the morning, early hours of the morning, around 3, 4 a.m. Asiwaju loved debates. All his life is about debates, and I believe that is why he's conversant with so many things around him.
So let me segue into the question I wanted to ask. Does he feel threatened now that the same man that used to help him make most of his arguments, Yemi Osinbajo, might be running against him? Because that was the engine room of most of Asiwaju's arguments. Does he feel threatened by that?
Asiwaju will even love that. You see, when you have a child, and your child grows up to be like you, and he tries to sharpen your perspective, it is better for you to contest with that child to see the improvement. And if he's yet to meet your high sense of activity, then you also help him climb. Asiwaju is not threatened.
So he's happy about Osinbajo's
about
the noise made about Osinbajo, and in a case where Osinbajo finally declares, he has no qualms with it.
If the vice president decides to declare and contest, Asiwaju will love it.
Well,
and they'll go into the contest together.
Tanko Yakasai, would like to thank both of you. I hope you were referring to the vice president as a child, just in a figurative sense.
In a figurative sense.
Yes, because it will be wrong to say that Osinbajo is a child.
No, I never said that.
Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But I would like to thank you for honoring our invitation. And thank you very much also, Abdullahi Tanko Yakasai.